we have Brian White doing what Brian White does. Brian White is out there actually traveling around, grabbing, I know, what would you call it, Brian? You're a foot soldier. You're a real reporter.
I'm the man on the ground. I'm out there getting the scoops. And this week I've got a tour of the Fremont factory, which I use referral credits to get. So thank you to those of you who've used my referral link. This is how I'm able to pay for my trip down here with the miles, the supercharger miles, and how I'm able to get in without a camera and without any recording, no pictures allowed, background information only. But if there's one thing you guys know is when I get out on the ground, I get some background information.
So you haven't got the latest contact lenses that act as a camera.
No, not yet.
Darn, if only. And they wouldn't probably have known that too. You could have snuck it in. You might not have ever been invited back, but giving one for the Gipper or something. How did that work? I forget. Anyway, hey, Brian, people keep talking about all these reviews on the Cybertruck, fantastic reviews. I mean, it's just unbelievable. But a couple of times, even Sandy Monroe said, well, it's not as good as a work truck as the Rivian, or somebody else said it wasn't as good a work truck as the F-150 electric, the whatever they call that thing.
Lightning.
Lightning, that's it. Yeah, see, I don't care about the competition, never have. In my whole business career, I do my product the best I can and forget the competition. Anyway, but does it have to be everything, Brian? I mean, pretty much everybody agrees it is like what would you call it now? The fanboy? I don't know, the Hollywood and Vine truck. I mean, the truck you drive if you want to be really in.
Well, I think if you're shy or get anxiety talking to people, this is the wrong truck for you. It is not your truck. Not today. It will be in the future. There will come a day, maybe in 6 months or a year or three, when it's no longer a spectacle. Today, it's a spectacle. So, what do I think in terms of work trucks? Well, what do you mean it's not a work truck? I knew a guy. There used to be this policy in Seattle where you didn't have to pay to use the dump unless you were using a truck or a van. So he bought a station wagon at an auction for his work vehicle so he could dump for free. Is that not a work vehicle?
That's right.
If you've got the cargo capacity, what line of work are you in for which a truck with the longest bed of any electric truck isn't what you need? I don't understand. It's got the biggest lockable area. It's got, unless somehow the cargo tunnel in a Rivian is some new standard for work trucks, I would disagree with all of those premises entirely. It can be it can get beat up like nothing else.
Yeah. In a construction zone, I mean, that's one of the biggest things with guys that are contractors. I've had several clients over the years who are contractors. And, when you're in a construction zone, man, it's so hard to keep from getting either splash or hitting things that weren't there yesterday, or maybe weren't there when you parked. Create, lots of scratches and bumps and grinds.
It's insane to think that this is somehow the measurement that we're using. Now, let's remember the first of something is never meant to be the everything for everyone truck.
Right.
I would argue that no single Ford is the everything truck. The F-150 is much too large for many, many buyers. They want something like a Maverick.
Right.
And the F-150 is much too small for some buyers. They need something they can use as a tow truck or as a long range horse hauler. You need a 250, a 350. So nothing can be perfect for everyone. But I think there are some fair reasons why today's Cybertruck is not for you if your use case says so. If you are doing a lot of towing, I don't know that electric is ready for prime time. Mm-hmm. Very few people have that use case.
Yeah.
If you make a list of all the things a truck needs to do for you and get 100 people to do this, you'll find that for 90% of them, one of these 3-4 electric trucks, if we're counting the Silverado, is already going to meet your use case. It'll
Mhm.
get you enough range. It's definitely, you can't tell me it doesn't have enough torque or enough horsepower. All of them do. It's got the right cargo space if you get the one that meets what you need. And really, any of those four should do the trick. Saying it's not a work truck is crazy, I think, but fine, whatever. I guess maybe you're in a different line of work. And saying that it needs to be everything for everyone is crazy. If we can meet, if you could meet 10% of the market demand for what they need, that's more trucks than have ever been sold in an electric form factor.
There you go.
And
So, yep,
it's
yep.
more than 10%. It's probably 80%.
So a lot of the reviews that I've been watching on Cybertruck have mentioned the tires, and they say, well, these are hybrid tires. These are designed to go on the road and also go off road and go into the construction site, go in snow, but not very well in snow, apparently. Apparently, they're the ones that come standard are not very good in snow. So you might have to, have a different set of tires, snow tires or something for the snow, or use chains or cables or whatever people are using today. I don't drive in the snow, so I think last I heard it was cables. But Brian, isn't that always true of every truck? Maybe I'm completely out to lunch on this or something.
What I hear you asking is there a everything for everyone tire? And of course, the answer is no. Now, in the Northwest, we use just all seasons because our winters don't get that crazy and our summers don't get that crazy. But in a lot of places, people will have winter tires and summer tires. And that's just really for road use. Forget off roading, forget job sites, forget climbing the mountains. So it's the same thing again. You know what you're using this for. Act accordingly. I don't know what to say. If you're going to now for me, I don't want all-terrain tires. I want road tires.
Yeah.
I'm not going to leave the pavement. I'm in touch with that. I know what I'm about. So just let me have my better fuel, my better economy, my better range, my quieter, softer ride. I don't need these big knobby, massive tires. And yeah, that's the nice thing about a truck is you can make some changes to it to better suit what you're doing. And right there, you've got more utility in the Cybertruck than in a lot of other trucks with the air suspension. Do you need a high ride? Guess
Yeah.
what? You do have it. And you have a low ride and you have one in between. Do you have trouble getting in and out? Forget adding a ladder to get into the thing. Entry mode drops it real nice and low. And you don't even have to take it out of entry mode. As soon as you put it in drive, it goes back up on its own.
So we've seen a whole bunch of views of YouTube videos and other videos put out by Tesla and put out by other third parties showing the truck doing absolutely amazing things off road, really looking great off road. Somebody even said kind of looked like back the what do you call it, Mad Max in one of the shots, and looked like that could really be the next Mad Max truck. But have we really actually had? Have you seen a test yet where they've put off-road tires on to really give it the full? I haven't seen one yet where they're using tires designed specifically for going off-road.
In terms of YouTube reviews, I have not seen one yet. We have seen them. Heavy D took off the tires and replaced them with snow tracks,
Okay.
which of course destroyed his control arms and he had to replace them because you can't really, if you turn the wheel, it's going to break. Those will not spin in the snow, they won't rotate. But I believe that the Baja Tour that Tesla took the trucks on,
Mhm.
you used a very specialized aftermarket tire.
Okay.
That might be a better case, but we don't know all the details of that drive. We don't know any of the details except that it happened.
Right, right. So let's see. We can tell from the videos we have seen that the truck does well off-road, that it's going to be fun and useful and do maybe some things that other trucks can't do off-road, like have 19-inch clearance would be one of those things. And also the suspension system seems to be pretty flexible and pliable and electronically controlled to provide you with hands-off decision making with regard to the height. And then we've seen it, of course, we know that rappers and models and I don't know how many different stars, people that own TV shows and YouTube channels and stuff, somehow are getting these ahead of other people. I'm assuming that they have why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't Tesla give them a better place in line if they've got 15 million people watching them on YouTube? Anyway, but apparently those folks think that this is a glam truck, so it's going to maybe fit that criteria. What about mom taking the kids to school? How does it look so far for that one?
I haven't seen that demographic showing up yet. And it's probably because those buyers don't have a YouTube channel as much as the rest of, the modders and the rappers. Those guys will all have a very strong desire to show it and to try and recoup the cost of that rap in ad revenue. So that's a strong possibility there. I don't know. But what a vehicle is intended to be versus what it becomes can be two very different things. I saw people saying, no one will like this. It looks too evil and dystopian.
Evil.
And I said, if there's a million of them or 10 million of them on the road, that dissolves.
Right.
The Jeep used to mean military.
Right.
No one looks at a Wrangler and says, oh, look at that wannabe army guy. That's not what it is anymore. It's something else. It's an off-road, fun, weekend, sporty, wind in your hair kind of vehicle. And there's nothing, Jeep couldn't change that image back if they tried, and they wouldn't want to because this way is way better.
So years ago, I had, well, for the last 16 years, I've been a marketing consultant, and I've consulted with about 400 different companies. And some of those have been local restaurants and retailers and people that need to get that crowd in the door. And I have commonly shown them a picture. I should have brought it today, but I've commonly shown them this picture of a guy who bought this really cute truck with a wood sidings on the back. It wasn't like an ugly, like something from across the border type of truck, but like redwood planks or something. And then he stuck his brand on the side of that, and he just parked it at different places in town. Well, I think somebody who could grab a Cybertruck right now and then wrap it with their brand on it and with a lot of colors and fun could park that baby anywhere in town, and they would be sold out for just put it different location, just drive it around town.
And think how many people would take a picture of your brand and post it to everyone they know, starting with people in their local area, because that's a decent chunk of your sphere of influence on a number of these social medias where it's your friends, your family. And especially if you're a brand that exists beyond just one location, it could be huge. I know in San Diego, the owner of Donut Bar had a Lamborghini or Ferrari or something with the donut bar wrap on the hood, and he'd just park it out front. And all I could think is, well, that explains why the donuts are so expensive.
Yeah. There you go. Or he just sold a lot of donuts.
It's both. It's both. They're expensive. They sell a ton of them, and they're gimmicky, but they're wonderful. They're the size of your head. And it's one of those places that doesn't have a set closing time. When we're out of donuts, we close.
There you go. When they're out of donuts, they close. That's good. All right. So we don't know. I mean, from my standpoint, I know that the household here is going to be getting one when they get it down to the regular 60,000 or about that price. And that will be taken 6.5 miles each way each day to go to a university campus where my wife is a professor. And so I know that at least the English professor contingent is very excited about getting her Cybertruck.
Well, what you need to do, because you can't let an opportunity go to waste, Randy, is on the side of it, because she's got to promote something that means something to her. Put good grammar, please.
Please use
Please, come on.
Or maybe on one side, good grammar, and on the other side, watch my husband on YouTube. I mean, we could, I'm helping to contribute to the monthly payment.
I think putting your logo on maybe the tailgate would be a wise move. No,
There you go.
You know,
So
yeah. It's an opportunity. You talk about this. If people want to follow it, let them follow it. I would say the hesitation, we talked about range. We know the range extender is coming. We
Right,
know it's not here yet. There are people who need that range, who can wait for the range extender to come and buy it then.
right.
And that could be in a month, that could be in 6 months. I think it'll be fairly early on. And as battery chemistry continues to improve, as efficiency continues to improve, the range is going to continue increasing and improving. And all those little use cases, there are people I've seen who say, I live, 250 miles from my cabin or wherever.
Right.
I have to have 280, 293. I need 250 real range.
Range, yes.
If so, that buyer only needs another 10% for peace of mind. And then boom, that's a huge chunk of market that just got unlocked. And by a huge chunk, I mean
I
a
was gonna
small
say,
percentage,
yeah.
but in real numbers, it could be a lot of people.
I mean, if my cabin was up at Baldy right now, well, let's go further. If my cabin was up at Shasta even, which is about a 4 hour drive, 5 hour drive from here. I could just drive to Shasta, to Shasta. No, it's a 9 hour drive. I'm sorry, Shasta is closer to you, or halfway, I guess, between us. That's about a 9 hour drive. I would have to fill up a couple, 3 times before. If my cabin was up the mountain, I just fill up at the bottom of the mountain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I mean,
And then regen back down.
listen, when we first got the Model Y, we went to Death Valley. That was the closest we ever had to range anxiety. And we went out to Death Valley and we had forgotten to take our converter. We didn't think we would need our converter. So we got to the hotel in the middle of Death Valley, a million miles from anywhere, and we couldn't charge at the hotel because they didn't have NACs. Okay. I couldn't plug in. So we had to drive to the closest city and we made it. And we filled up and then we drove back and then we drove back to the on-ramp that we were using and we made it. I mean, if there was moments when we were a little nervous, but that was then. Today, are you kidding me? The solution is definitely improved in the 3 years. That was over 3 years ago. So that's pretty much as far as you're getting, and that was on a Model Y, not a long range, just a standard range.
Works. It worked. And as the more chargers are built, it works. As more everything's built. Yesterday, I was at a 44 stall that just opened in Redding, California.
Yeah.
And they've put in 2 pull-throughs, one at each end of the bank, so that you can have trucks, trailers, and then around the corner, there's 3 more spots that are just up against the building, so you can kind of come at them from any direction.
Oh,
So out of the 44, there's 5 stalls that are more flexible than ever before.
wonderful. Yeah. And they're talking about trying to add those pull-throughs anywhere they can. Yeah, and adding extenders so that folks can pull, so that the non-Tesla types can pull in naturally, and then just extend and be able to get to the other side of the car. So,
And Tesla has announced that they're working on an extension cord.
yeah,
And I know a lot of third-party companies. I think Joa is working on a third-party extension cord as well.
okay.
And those, you won't get your full speed out of them because obviously there's no liquid cooled interface in there.
Yes.
But if you can still pull, 80, 90, 100 kilowatts, then you're doing good.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So in other words, it seems to me that there's enough use cases and that probably the work use case will also be there for those who find the benefits to outweigh whatever minor inconveniences might be there on it for their work application. But again, as we mentioned earlier, if you were a contractor of some kind, a plumber, air conditioning guy, electrician, whatever, and you found that there was something about it that was a little inconvenient, just having your name on the side of it might make up for that inconvenience times about 100.
For sure. And again, I just don't know what the inconvenience would
Yeah.
be. F-150 is very high off the ground. This has easier bed act. Well, I can't reach over the sides. What are you, 9 feet tall? I can't reach over the sides of an F-150. All right, fine, whatever.
All right, Brian, I think we've done it. I think we've convinced, well, this crowd might not need convincing, but they have friends who might need to hear that this is not just for a slim piece of the population. In fact, maybe it's going to be for a bigger slice of the population than any of the cars, trucks that are out there now. Brian, they should follow you over at, there's a place called Future Aza.
Yeah.
What-
Yeah.
Did we ever decide what AZA stood for?
From A to Z and back again. I see on screen because I'm using an old instance of Zoom here. It's got the wrong channel name on it,
Oh, no.
but we'll fix that for the next time I'm back for sure.
For sure, for sure. So follow him at Future Aza, whether that would be on X.com, formerly known as Twitter, Future Aza, formerly known as Next Big Weekend, Randy Kirk, formerly known as Randy Kirk. Follow him on YouTube, follow him on Patreon, follow him wherever you might see him wandering around up in Fremont tomorrow. Possibly you could follow him there, although
Yeah.
he might, of course, have you arrested? I'm not sure for
I
stalking.
don't know. I haven't decided.
Okay. All right, Brian, thank you so much as always for being on board. And to all of you out there, it's been great talking to you.